Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here, returning to you for a album review for tonight, and this is for Childish Gambino's surprising release for Atavista that I got a chance to listen to, which technically with this record, it's the same record we got back in 2020, it's 3/15/20 record, but I don't know if all the songs were the same thing, but there might have been some new twists to this. But this is kind of a redone version. It's tweaked in a more remixed kind of way, and now we know what the song names are pretty much. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for this 11-track album, which is a little over 50 minutes, and let you know my thoughts on this record overall. So let's dive into this album review now. It starts with the title track, Atavista, and it's a pretty good title track so far. I'm really liking Childish Gambino's vocals in this, and it sounds really nice for the melody and just the tune and all that. It's pretty interesting and something to really bop to, basically. So this is a 5 out of 5. Algorithm is pretty good in its own way, but there's some mixing issues with this track, with the electronic sounds and the mixing kind of being all cluttery and noisy, like close to the end of the track, and the electronics take over way too much, and it just kind of ruins it. But not in the worst way, but still most of the track is still pretty strong. So I'd give this a 4.75 out of 5. Time, featuring Ariana Grande, is a pretty strong track. I really enjoyed this one because at least Ariana Grande had some good vocals in this, and overall she didn't make cringy lyrics with her singing, but still this song was well written, well produced, and one of my favorite songs off the record. So 5 out of 5. Silosabe, Millennial Love, featuring 21 Savage, Inc. and Kaja Bonnet. This is above decent. I don't hate it, but I don't love it in any way. But I remember hearing this song from the 3/15/20 record, and I was like, this song's kind of mid. But it's above decent now, as I gotten an acquired taste to some new songs and what I personally think of them overall, and gotten used to some tracks from this record. So this is a 4.25 out of 5. To Be Hunted is a solid track in its own way. There's still some moments where Childish Gambino's vocals kind of go out of tune and out of sync from time to time, and he kind of overdoes it with his vocals. Not in the worst way, but it kind of just, ouch. He tries to make it sound better, but it just, some execution flaws from time to time. But still, solid track, so I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. Sweet Thing was above decent. Summer Walker's performance was better than Childish Gambino, in my opinion. Childish Gambino sounded a little too weird. I mean, he sounded good vocally from time to time, but there were quite a bit of cringy moments with his singing from time to time that I couldn't get on board with the sweet thing kind of thing. And this was a pretty lengthy song, but it wasn't terrible, but it's above decent, so 4.25 out of 5. Littlefoot Bigfoot, featuring Young Nutty. I think they made a music video for this one, and it's a pretty catchy tune. I really dig this one, so this is a 4.75 out of 5. I mean, there's some mixing issues with this one, but I still think it's another one of the highlights for the record. Not one of the personal favorites, but a highlight for the record overall, and pretty strong single to call it a single, so 4.75 out of 5. Why Go to the Party was only 41 seconds of a track, and it's not that bad. So 4.5 out of 5 for this one. Um, you're only in for 41 seconds with him singing "Why Go to the Party" and other lyrics like that, so it's not very long. It leads into the next song, "Human Sacrifice," and that's one of my favorite songs. Not my personal favorite, but it's still pretty good in its own way. Another one of the highlights for the record. So 4.75 out of 5. It was like almost 6 minutes, but it was entertaining for the most part because of Childish Gambino singing, sounding really good overall with his vocals. There's some moments where it had its cringy moments, but still a almost flawless executed track. The Violence is probably my favorite song. There's some weird talking from, I guess, his daughter in this track. And it's not terrible. It's just it's odd, and it made the song sound a little odd and obtuse towards the end of the track. But it's still pretty good and a strong track. So 5 out of 5. And finally, we get to the closing track, "Final Church," which is a pretty good song in its own way to close the album. And I didn't hate this one, but I had my critiques with some execution moments, how the songs mix, how Childish Gambino's singing in it, and overall, it's not terrible. It just has its hit or miss moments and its quirkiness. So 4.75 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution wise, I was surprised that he dropped another surprising album, but it's not technically surprising because, one, we've heard this before 4 years ago, but I think at least he finally found titles for the tracks from the 2020 version, but remixed it and tweaked it a little more in a more good way. This wasn't a perfect record in any way, but it was a good record, if I should say so myself. There are some tracks that were hit or miss and kind of close to decent tracks. There were some above decent songs, and then there were some solid ones, strong ones, and personal favorites, but overall, this was a good record, despite a few critiques. So if I were to give this record an overall score, I'm going to give Childish Gambino Atavista an 8 out of 10. A good album for sure. Definitely recommend checking this release out. It came out May 13th. I know I'm reviewing it about the 14th, but I just had to give it a hard listen to see what I thought of it. And I was trying to find time to do it earlier, but I was like so tired because I was outside in the heat for 4 hours, and I think I got a little dehydrated. Dehydrated myself, unfortunately. But I'm okay, don't worry. Just getting over the dehydration, and I'm about to go crash in just a few minutes. But still, Childish Gambino's release Atavista, not a terrible record. It's worth checking out for this Monday's release. Monday, Tuesday release, I guess you could say. But overall, 8 out of 10 for Childish Gambino Atavista. Thank you for watching this album review tonight, and you guys have a good night.